what's missing, I think, from a lot of people, professionals in particular in North America, is this mindset of playfulness, spontaneity, and just the attitude of just go with the flow, as opposed to packed schedules and just get it done as much as possible.
Hi, I'm Tamara, and this is TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart. A good life isn't always a happy one or even a meaningful one. Sometimes it's the twists, detours, and surprises that shape us the most. We're talking with social psychologist Shige Oishi about rethinking what it means to live well. Drawing on decades of research and personal stories, Shige introduces a powerful third path, psychological richness. We explore how curiosity and exploration can lead to a more fulfilling life, especially when happiness and meaning fall short. I hope you enjoy the conversation. This podcast is brought to you by TELUS Smart Home Security. Secure, simplify, and easily monitor your home from anywhere using the Smart Home Security app. Visit TELUS.com/smarthome-security to learn more about Canada's most trusted security provider. Hi, Shige. It's really good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So you have a brand new book called Life in Three Dimensions: How Curiosity, Exploration, and Experience Make a Fuller, Better Life.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to write this book?
Well, that's what I study. So I'm a professor of psychology, and my primary research has been on what is good life. And I studied my PhD in 1995. So essentially last 30 years I've been studying. And so first 20 years or so, I really focused on happiness, who is happy, what makes people happy, how, the concepts and predictors of happiness differ across cultures. And I had a graduate student who was really interested in meaning in life. So I started studying meaning in life around 2000. But then about 10 years ago, just, felt like I'm a little bit stuck, like in midlife crisis, that I felt quite happy. I felt like my life has meaning, but at the same time, I felt like something is missing. And when I complained about my life to my graduate students and postdoc and talked about like whether happy life and then the meaningful life constitute sort of the full life, half of them said, Shige, don't be so greedy. If you're happy and, find your life to be meaningful, like what else to, want? Don't be too greedy. But at the same time, the other half thought like, yeah, something could be missing. So last 10 years, we've been really studying the third dimension, which we decided to call psychological richness or psychologically rich life, really emphasizing sort of the richness in experiences and the unique stories you have. So you could have some negative emotions and negative events as long as you learned something new, you grew some, out of it. Whereas happy life, when you have these negative emotions and negative events, it is really hard to say, yes, I'm still happy, right? So that's sort of the idea as to why we developed this third dimensions. And now that it's been 10 years, we published quite a bit of work. And I feel like, I established this concept scientifically. So I was essentially ready to write a book for general public.
Oh my gosh. Okay. There's so much to talk about here. It's interesting because I have 3 kids. And so I will often say, it doesn't matter to me what they do or I just want my kids to be happy. I just want my kids to be happy. I say that so much, right? But I've never actually thought about what that means to be happy. And so when you do sort of step back and go, well, am I happy? What is happy? I've never really thought about that, but we sure throw the word around a lot, don't we?
That's right. So I think historically, Greek, for instance, like Aristotle, Socrates, they talked about contemporary happiness, but the Greek word they used was eudaimonia. And you is good, daemon spirit, so good spirits in your side. So original concept centered around being blessed, good luck and fortune. So that concept is around for a long time. Back in 2013, we published this paper where we collected the dictionary definition of happiness from 30 countries. So in their own language. So in Japanese, it's kofuku or shiawase. So I asked Japanese collaborator to look it up in the most authoritative dictionary in Japan or Norway or Germany or India and so forth. And then just translate that back and then send it to us. And we content coded 24 out of 30 countries. Main definition of happiness was still good luck and fortune. American version, however, was no longer that. And when we actually looked at the Webster unabridged dictionary definition of happiness in the US from the original 1800 version, actually early versions said the happiness is good luck and fortune. But in 1961 edition, it says archaic. Satisfaction of one's desires and so forth is now the official sort of definition of happiness. And you see that quite a bit in North America. The contemporary definition of happiness is not so much good luck and fortune, but almost like how well you're doing in your life, personal success. So I think that's the difficulty here, that the people equate the personal success with happiness. Therefore, when they are not happy, they feel like they're losing or loser or failure. On the other hand, in a traditional view of happiness, when you see it as a good luck and fortune, happiness simply means you're unlucky. So you can accept those situations much more easily. And I think that today's, especially younger generation, like anxious generation, I think focus so much on make sure I'm going to be happy. So they try to eliminate all kinds of anxiety, worries, and stress. Therefore, they don't, of course, challenge themselves. They want to go safe. And the parents, of course, we created anxious generation. So we were the anxious parents who didn't want, we didn't want kids to get hurt. So therefore, we protected them. So in a way, the fragility of happiness, I think, comes from various places. The concept of happiness in the culture, also parentings, and so forth.
You bring up curiosity, right? Curiosity, to me, curiosity is what gives life I love being curious, right? When we're curious, we start conversations, we ask questions, we try things, we do all different things, right? Does that make us happy? Are curiosity and happiness connected?
Yeah, so there's a lot of studies showing correlations between those people who say they're curious tend to be happy too. But those people also find their life to be meaningful. And when we measure psychological richness, curious people are also leading psychologically rich life because, of course, they explore the world, they're interested in other people, and do a lot of things. But when we run multiple regressions, simultaneously trying to predict who is curious from happiness, meaning, and psychological richness, only psychological richness is uniquely, strongly correlated with the curiosity. So I think the curiosity is really foundational for psychologically rich life. Whereas happy life, you don't have to be super curious. For instance, the main predictors of happiness is having a very, very good social relationship with your friends, family, of course, the partner, and things like that. And the most interesting findings from happiness research actually is that because we equate personal, career success with the happiness, we think big promotions, wedding, the birth of child, and so forth will make us really happy. And they do, but they don't last that long. What makes us happy is rather the small things in life, the having coffee with your friends and taking a morning walk and saying hi to your neighbors. So those kinds of things. And that really, you don't need to be super curious outside of your social circle. On the other hand, if you want to lead the psychologically rich life, you better have a lot of curiosities and explore the world.
Right. Okay, so that's super interesting because I feel like what about money? So because we always hear, "Oh, money can't buy happiness," and then other people are like, "Oh, yeah, it actually can."
So actually, this is the long history, and I've done this money and happiness research from 95 as well. So in 2000, we had the major reviews and said, like, money doesn't seem to matter too much, but it depends on the specific country. Some country, it matter more than others. Back then, it was in the poor country, money matters more, which makes sense, right? Because the general thought was that up until essentially the area where your basic needs are met, then the money should matter a lot because it's a matter of survival. But once you have enough to eat and things like that, the money shouldn't matter that much. And that was the findings back then. But it's really interesting. As time goes, Americans require more and more money to be happy. So the lowest threshold back in 1995 was about 20,000 a year. Up to that point, of course, more money matters, but after that, it doesn't matter too much. But then in 2006, Danny Kahneman published this paper showing essentially in current, uh, inflation adjusted money about 75,000. Up to $75,000 in more money means more happier. But after that, it doesn't matter. But in 2010, Kahneman published another paper adjusting to like about 100 to 125,000. And then in 2021, I think it was, uh, another paper came up, and essentially just the life satisfaction among Americans seems like it's going up, 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 up. So even if you're making 200,000, 300,000, essentially the threshold hasn't reached. The more money, the more satisfied or happy with your life, which is kind of wild, right? So we did the studies across like 30 countries, what's happening historically. And most of the European countries and Japan too, compared to 1970s, the money matters more right now. There's money happiness correlation is going stronger, stronger, stronger year by year almost. But when we look at the Latin America, that's not the case. And the key difference is that over the last 20, 30 years, in Latin America, income inequality hasn't changed, or if anything, it got smaller. On the other hand, in America, North America, and Europe, the income inequality grows so dramatically. So as the income inequality grows, it seems like the correlation between money and happiness also gets stronger.
Wow.
So in other words, the happiness gap between very rich and poor is getting wider and wider in the United States, perhaps Canada, many of the European countries, because the top 10% income has grown so much, whereas the bottom hasn't changed or even gone down.
That makes sense to me. And it does seem, especially in North America, that the gap between, the uber rich and what we used to call the middle class, I don't know what that means anymore, is huge. It's massive, right? But where does social media fit in? And what I'm thinking about is we spend so much time, we know this, we spend so much time looking at our phones, looking at, Instagram, whatever, all these things. We're seeing how incredible everybody's life is so incredible. Everybody's life is perfect. Their houses look perfect, everything. I look at it, I feel bad because I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's a mess in my house. I can't keep up. You know what I mean? I should be making more money. I should be doing this. I should be, should be, should be, should be. And then I feel crappy. Is there a correlation between your research and the rise in social media?
Yeah, so we haven't studied social media that much, but one of the most important insight, I think, in happiness research comes from Sonia Lyubomirsky's research on social comparison. So this was published in late 1990s, so pre-social media, but essentially happy people don't engage in upward social comparison, whereas unhappy people always are looking up. So there is this tendency. And also, if you just look at somebody who is doing better than you, of course that will make you feel bad. Just that dispositionally happy people don't do that. They think, oh, I have enough. So Barry Schwartz has this cool studies about the maximizer versus satisficer. So maximizer is like, okay, how can I make maximum amount of money? What's the best possible job? What's the best possible school I can attend? Whereas satisficer is just simply, oh, look at the one school or one job, and then this is good enough for me. So the decision is this the best versus is this good enough? And then the people who think this is good enough, right, satisfies them, they tend to be happier. They don't engage in social comparison, which was fine back then when the research was done. It was simple sort of individual differences. Now everybody is bombarded with the social comparison. Like we cannot escape it, right? So that's the difficulty. I mean, social media just give you just you cannot escape from upward social comparisons. Everybody else seems to be having better time, better life, and so forth. So if you find yourself engaging in this upward social comparison, then you have to sort of shut down the Facebook and Instagrams and all that, and just like, it's okay to be different. Doesn't matter. Do I like my house? Yes, then that's fine. Do I like my car? Okay, that's good enough.
It's so true. But a lot of these things, don't come until you get older and you have life experience too, right?
It is difficult.
It's so hard, right? Because I look at things that I did in the past, like in my 20s and 30s, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have realized like how great that was at the time. Or you know what I mean? Like you have this hindsight that,
So savoring, appreciating what you have, and so forth. And you look at the World Happiness Report, and in which country people are happy, and then just that Denmark and Finland, a lot of reasons why they are so happy is not that they are super successful or anything. Just they are really grateful for what they have. They are totally satisfied. So this is good enough. Of course, their governments are functioning, which helps too, and safety net and everything, so they don't have to worry about it. But really, they are managing their desire and ambitions much better. So William James has this famous formula that self-esteem is function of how successful you are and then divided by your ambitions. And I think we can apply that to happiness too. And essentially, North Americans are trying to increase their happiness by maximizing the success, right? Numerator end. Whereas a lot of Scandinavians, what they're doing is just, not fixating on the, success part, but just managing the desire part so that you can, as long as desire shrinks, right? Even with a given exactly the same amount of success, you can be happy.
How evolved do you think we are in North America compared to the rest of the countries that you looked at when it comes to, I guess, being able to identify the things that we're talking about, like what true happiness is, like what it really means? Are we very good at it?
No. We're poor at it. Like affective focusing error is big. So we all think these big promotion, big marriage, and something. Those are the things that's important for happiness. So we pursue, right? So we spend too much time essentially working, too much time trying to, make more money, become more famous, and things of that nature. Mispredicting that those are the things that makes us happy. Instead, what we should be doing is spending more time with our friends and families and so forth, because those are the things that make us happy.
I think I agree with you, and I'm not surprised by your answer at all. And I've seen my husband and I were in Portugal about a month ago, and we were there for a week, and all we did was walk around and look at things, and we ate and we slept in, and it was great. Things we never do at home. Right? We never go for a walk together at home. We never, just sleep in whenever we want, obviously, all those things. But what I always notice if I do go to Europe is how the lifestyle is very different than in North America. You can go out at 10 o'clock at night and people are sitting on patios. They're allowed to have their dogs on the patio. They're allowed to sit there and just have a drink and not have to eat. We have so many rules, it feels like, in North America. We have all these rules like, oh, you can't be noisy after 9 p.m., so no patios. You can't just have a drink. You got to eat too. No dogs allowed. Don't you dare. All these rules, right? And there's such a feeling of warmth and friendliness, right? When you're walking these little ancient streets and people are on patios everywhere and just visiting. Is that part of what we're missing?
Probably. I mean, I think I think North America certainly have, very much Protestant work ethics, right? And of course, Japanese is the worst. They work even more than Americans and Canadians. But in general, I think there's emphasis on the productivities and efficiency, getting things done, right? We get up in the morning and the first thing we do is just look at the to-do list and try to just get check off, check off, check off. And of course, that's the way to be productive. Okay, so that's good if that's the ultimate goal for you. But at the same time, when you do that, your life becomes very, very monotonic, predictable. And that's what I'm worried about. So productivities and so forth is good and may contribute to, making a difference in the world, maybe make your life to be more meaningful because it is really difficult to make a difference in the world. You have to be dedicated. You have to repeat, volunteering in the same place for an extended period of time. But if that's not what you really value, then, that mindset is not really optimal. Certainly hindrance to psychologically rich life. And psychologically rich life it requires really just taking a break from these routines and the seriousness, right? And, as you said, when you're on vacation, you take a walk, you sleep in, you're not, governed by what I'm supposed to do. And there are a lot of spontaneities, playfulness, and so forth. So what's missing, I think, from a lot of people, professionals in particular in North America, is this mindset of playfulness, spontaneities, and just the attitude of just go with the flow, as opposed to packed schedules and just get it done as much as possible.
Yeah, I often think, what am I getting it all done for? Like, what am I doing? There's going to be another to-do list. There's going to be more to do. For what? It's so interesting. It's so interesting. One of the things we like to do here is thank our guests by asking them to choose a Canadian registered charity. You chose Food Banks Canada. Thank you very much. They are very busy these days. And we will make a donation in your name as a thank you for you being here. So thank you so much for choosing Food Banks Canada. So I'm going to guess that when you were, a kid and you're living at home and you decide that you want to go to school and do all of these things, and then you move to a different country to work, or did you finish your school?
Graduate school.
Yeah, graduate school. I would think that there would be times where you weren't very happy when you made this decision to go to a completely different country that is so culturally different than where you were born. So were you happy? Like, how did you sort of get through that time?
Of course, the language is the biggest thing, right? That is really difficult. And in Japan, I almost never felt that I was stupid, right? But in the US, of course, I feel really stupid because I don't understand what they're saying. I have to repeat. It is really embarrassing, that I don't understand, or I cannot make myself understood. So yeah, of course, there are lots of difficulties, but at the same time, I was in love, and I had a partner, and I had sorts of the goals that are okay. I need to get masters, I need to get a PhD, and I thought if I don't get a job in the United States, I can always go back to Japan. But luckily, I got a job in the United States, so I ended up staying.
But how did curiosity, how did that third dimension help you sort of, transform or really change your life's course, right? In a new country.
Totally. So I think in terms of the personality sort of characteristics, usually openness to experiences is really important. Those people who are open to new experiences, they tend to lead psychologically rich life. But I'm not that open to new experiences. I'm not that extrovert. I'm rather introverted. Uh, but I think what I did was essentially just I had this mindset of go with the flow. Okay. And I like this person, and this relationship seems to be going somewhere. So just go as far as it goes, and hope that everything will work out in some way. So I'm very agreeable, I think. So whenever somebody suggests something, oh, let's go to this movie, let's go to this, and I just do. So I myself is not super open to new experiences, but just tagging along with the other people, I think I became more open to experiences, and I think intellectually I was always curious, but interpersonally I wasn't so curious.
Because you're an introvert. You describe yourself as an introvert, and that's hard for introverts to do. You have to make a conscious decision to say, I'm going to go with the flow. And if I get invited to this, I'm going to say yes. That's hard to do, but that's so interesting too. So, if someone's listening and they're like, okay, well, this is interesting. I never really thought about curiosity and this third dimension. And, you know, how do people sort of um start to understand that a rich life, like a good, rich life, rich with experiences, doesn't require, wealth. It doesn't require risk. It doesn't require constant travel, right? How do you explain that to somebody?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, if you have money, you can travel and then buy new experiences, which is no problem. But at the same time, initially we were thinking about labeling our concept as experiential richness because some people have a lot of experiences and so forth. But it sounds like you have to do a lot of things, right, yourself, like almost like sensation seekers. And what we were thinking about includes a lot of intellectual explorations. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can watch film, you can read novels, you can talk to somebody, and you can learn a lot about other culture, other things. So I think that the cheap way to enrich your life is go to library, right? I mean, Goodwill Hunting, the movie, Matt Damon famously say, "Why would you pay $150,000 for higher education where all you need is $1.50 of late fee in public library?" And that's I think the spirit that you can really enhance your psychological richness. One of my favorite novel is a French novel called Elegance of Hedgehog. And the main character is the concierge woman, uneducated, uh, but she has secret passion for Russian literature and uh, Japanese film by Yasujiro Ozu and so forth. So you don't really need a lot of money. She really wasn't very wealthy person, but she had really rich inner life through literature, art, and culture. And there are many examples like that. And you can discover so many things in daily life. I mean, even in your neighborhood, right? If you change the way you commute or take a walk, actually you start noticing a lot of different things. So when I go from my office to the lecture hall, I switch up the way. And then I realized, oh, there was this chapel here. There was this amazing trees here. There's a nice bench here. You notice these things even within your surroundings. So the second way you can enrich your life is just pay attention, do a little bit different in your daily life. That doesn't cost any money.
So true. And you have a practical approach to well-being balance, right? What's your practical approach?
Well, I think that if you want to maximize psychological richness, for instance, then the practical approach is that just try to be playful, right? Meaning that, okay, you have to get things done, right? If you have a job, right, you have to get things done. Otherwise, you're going to be fired. So I'm not going to say, don't do it, right? I mean, you have to do it. But how you do it is just try to schedule certain things, in a block so that you have some flexible time. And when you feel like you can take a walk, you can, you know, just stop by your colleague's office and start chatting or things like that. Just give yourself time to be spontaneous and playful. And then the playfulness is actually very difficult. When was the last time you did something spontaneously or being very playful? I asked this question to a lot of people, and then, oh, I don't know. But many things could be considered as playful. In Canada, maybe you can go to the lake and then jump into the lake.
We have lakes here. We do. And we never go, Like, I mean, some of us do, but it's so interesting. I could drive for 15 minutes and be at the beach in Vancouver. I never go to the beach here. Never. Because I always think, oh, I can go to the beach if I go on vacation. Why would I do that when the beach is right here?
And Vancouver is amazing. Actually, the Shinrin-yoku, that when you go to the forest, it's just, yeah. When I gave a talk at the UBC last year, I had a little bit of time before, take off. So I took a walk and hiking route to the beach. And outside of Japan, I've never since felt the smell of the trees. Unbelievable. And then things like that is a sensation that you do not experience every day, right? So, and then those are the things that enrich your life without costing any money. They're doing anything extraordinary.
It's so true. Oh, I have loved this conversation so much. Okay, one more time. Your book is called Life in Three Dimensions: How Curiosity, Exploration, and Experience Make a Fuller, Better Life. Shige, you are incredible. You're also on X at Shige, which is SHIGE_Oishi, which is OISHI. Thank you so much for this conversation. I learned so much from you. It was so great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart. Be sure to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for another conversation. You can also check out our website, telus.com/podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at TELUS Talks.